What just happened here?
Hello, how are you doing? I hope you're having an amazing day and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to compare two drones that in my opinion are great for beginners, and I know that there has been some confusion about which one might be the right one for you. This one is the DJI FLIP and this other one the DJI NEO. And they have a few things in common, but the main one is that they have automatic flight modes where you don't need to use a controller. You basically just have to turn them on, select the flight mode that you want, place the drone in your hand with the camera facing you, and after pressing the start or takeoff button, the drone will fly up from your hand. In just a few seconds, these drones are going to be ready to perform the flight mode that you chose and record automatically. They also have propeller guards, which makes them safer for new pilots and just in general to take off and land with your hand. So almost anyone can fly this without having previous experience, and you don't need to learn to fly a drone with a controller, which seems to be complicated sometimes for some users. The DJI NEO has a weight of 135 grams and the Flip weighs 248 grams, so in the US and many other countries, you're not going to need a registration. Besides using the automatic flight modes, you can use your smartphone to control these drones. Inside the DJI Fly app, you're going to be able to change the settings of the camera and for the automatic flight modes. You can change the distance between you and the drone or change the flight angle or height that you want. For example, you can select a low, flat, or high angle for almost every mode. And in the app, you can see a live view of the camera, change the angle of the gimbal with this slider, and start or stop any flight mode that you want to use. You can control the drone manually with these joysticks, but there is a maximum range of around 50 meters, and you want to be careful not to fly too far away because there is a chance that the connection can be lost. It's happened to me a few times in a city landscape, and the only way to have a much longer transmission range is by using one of these controllers. The DJI NEO has the advantage that it can also be used with an FPV controller, but it doesn't have an official combo with any of these controllers, so you would have to buy it as an accessory. The DJI FLIP comes with one of these depending on the combo that you choose, and unlike the NEO, using a controller will let you do most of the things that you can do with other DJI drones, like master shots, hyperlapses, slow motion, and you will have more freedom to select different frame rates. For the automatic flight modes, they both have the same basic ones, which are follow mode, orbit, rocket, spotlight, and drone, and there is a custom mode that right now has 3 additional modes, which are helix, boomerang, and directional track. And these two drones are going to perform in a very similar way, but here is where you're going to start to see a difference between the two of them. For the stabilization, the NEO doesn't have a 3-axis gimbal, so it's going to use an electronic stabilization that normally will do a good job making your videos more stable. But if it's windy outside, you're going to notice that the stabilization is going to be affected. The DJI FLIP has a 3-axis gimbal, and this is going to be much better than any drone using a 1 or 2-axis gimbal with electronic stabilization. But the biggest difference between these two drones is going to be in the video quality, and this is because the DJI NEO has a small sensor, and even though it can record using 4K up to 30 frames per second, the bitrate seems to be on the lower side at around 50 to 60 megabits per second. The half-inch sensor has a big impact on the dynamic range, and low-light videos are not going to perform very well. For social media, they are going to be good enough, especially if your videos are taken in good conditions. But for those of you who want a higher image quality, the camera on the DJI FLIP has a 1/1.3 inches quad Bayer sensor. I compared this with the sensor that we have on the Mini 4 Pro, which is a more premium drone, and it seems to me that they are pretty much the same. The bitrate that you're going to get is higher than on the NEO, and both of these drones have the option to record using H.265 or H.264, but the DJI FLIP can record using D-Log-M with 10-bit color. I am really not trying to hype this, but these are great news. This will make your videos more flexible when you color grade them in post, and unfortunately, the DJI NEO doesn't have this feature. For pictures, The Neo can shoot using 12 megapixels, but the size of the sensor will be the limitation once again. The Flip also has a 12 megapixel resolution, but because this is a quad-layer sensor, you can also shoot at 48 megapixels and get more details. One thing that I don't like, and I hope it gets fixed with a firmware update, is that on the DJI FLIP, the automatic flight modes can only record with 30 frames per second when we use 4K. So the only way to use 24 or 60 frames per second is by using the controller, or you can record in 1080p at 60 frames per second. And the other limitation is for those who want to record in vertical mode. Both drones will crop the image, and the maximum resolution on the Flip is 2.7K, and the Neo will only support 1080p. Both drones have a downward sensor at the bottom, and in the front of the DJI FLIP, we have a 3D infrared obstacle sensing system that will detect if there are obstacles in the way. It doesn't have a system to bypass those obstacles, and is only going to brake in those cases. But I prefer to have this option than not having anything at all. Just don't expect this to detect small branches or things like that. The DJI NEO doesn't have any other sensors, so you might want to be a bit extra careful. There is also a big difference in the battery life. On the DJI FLIP, I have been getting about 24 minutes of flight time and recording. And on the DJI NEO, I can get around 14 to maybe 15 minutes. I like the charging hub that you can get for the NEO, very small and convenient to carry around, and it will charge all the batteries at the same time. If you get the Fly More combo for the Flip, it also comes with this one that has 4 slots, but it can only charge 2 batteries at the same time. And of course, it is a bit bigger than the one on the NEO. Something else that you have to consider is that the NEO doesn't have a memory card slot, so you're not going to be able to use an external memory, and this might be a downside for some users. It does have an internal memory of 22 gigabytes to store your videos and pictures, and that should be able to save around 45 minutes of videos shot at 4K. This is not a lot of time, so you're going to have to move out those files more frequently, which can be a little bit challenging, but doing so to your smartphone is very easy using the DJI Fly app, or you can connect the DJI NEO directly to your computer as well. The DJI FLIP has a very small internal memory. It's only 1.9 gigabytes, so not really a lot that you can do with that, but it does have a memory card slot that you can use. So the DJI NEO has been a bestseller for the last month, and when we look at what we get for a low price of $200, it's not hard to understand why so many people are buying this. I don't believe that the DJI FLIP is going to kill the NEO. The basic version that comes with a controller has a price just above the $400 mark. I think it's a great value and a great choice for those who want a higher video quality and want all the regular features that we've been getting with other drones, like master shots, hyperlapses, slow motion, longer flight times, a 3-axis gimbal, and other features that we're not getting on the NEO. But please let me know in the comments what you think about these two products. The links are going to be down below, and if you use any of them, it will support the channel. Don't forget to give this video a like. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope to see you again in the next video.